Well, I'm Richard Brubaker. I've been in the Libertarian Party now for 10 years, maybe 12, something like that. I've put my name on the ballot ever since the first year. I believe it's the way to send the message to the voters that there is an alternative to the big government party. I will only say big government party and its two candidates. One of my big concerns when I first joined the Libertarian Party in reducing government is how do you reduce government without devastating the economy? Now, I don't have a candle with me today, but let's pretend this is a candle and we have this flame. This is the private sector economy. It is the only true economy our nation has. There's another economy out there, the false economy, which is a balloon. And as that balloon fills, it gets closer to that flame. This balloon is the economy created by this government, all the excess spending, all the government jobs. It's a very contributing factor to our economy at the present time being so close. Now, if we take, such as in the sequester, where they just cut the bottom end of the balloon and let the air out, that's like holding the balloon over the fire and letting the air out, making the flame flutter. So our local BLM people, our National Guardsmen, people down here on the bottom side of that balloon, their jobs are according to this health of this fire at the present time. I'm not going to say forever, but for the lifetime of probably most of them there. The top side is causing a lot of weight, and it is getting dangerously close to this balloon. We can cut deep. Do we need NSA? No. Do we need TSA? Very little. Do we need all these military contractors, especially the foreign ones like Tata and I heard Blackwater Security is now gone overseas and they contribute millions to the Republican Party from what I've heard. We don't need those. They do this flame absolutely no good. I can show you a couple that work for the United States government, very high-ranking wages. Where is my tax dollar that they receive going? Overseas. Now, Joe's job is probably very dependent on Social Security checks, Medicaid, everything else. Is Joe going to go spend the next 6 months spending my dollars overseas? No, he's going to be spending them in the local economy, helping this flame, maintaining it. What happens if this flame gets too big? What happens if we let all the air out of the bottom? It blows the flame out. If the balloon gets too big, that's why I'm concerned about this country. Everybody wants to cut the bottom cut. These hands have calluses on them. Private sector work is the only revenue this government has. We can tax coal, we can tax oil, we can tax corporations, we can increase the tax on our fuel. I don't care what you tax. The revenues for all those taxes come back from people who work for the private sector. It's the only private revenue there is. Government produces no revenue. People who work for the government, why are they taxed? It's just recirculating the water, and it evaporates. Then we have to keep putting more back in. So my big thing is the economy. The military comes up, should we be isolationist? I'm fairly close to being an isolationist. Am I for getting rid of the soldiers or National Guards? No. Get rid of those who are sucking off the defense budget. Well, those that get on the big tip, like Raytheon, start cutting the budgets, start cutting the contractors to the government, reduce 60–70% of the bureaucracy. We have our BLM men and women out here fighting fires, fixing fence, monitoring oil wells. But do we really need to be giving a man or woman or man so much money that they can give the caddy on the Washington, D.C. golf course $100 tip? No, we don't need those people. I don't see any reason for them. They just simply make the working man's life more miserable. So yes, I will be very difficult and hard to get along with on the budget because I'll be cutting the opposite end of what the bureaucrats want, what the big money people want. I'm not a politician. I have calluses. I usually have a sweat-stained t-shirt on. So I'm willing to represent the people of the United States. I represent them, feel I should, offer to represent them for one reason. When I was 18 years old, I vividly remember holding my draft card in my hand as I watched American taxpayer dollars pushed off the ships as we evacuated Saigon, pushing off the helicopters off the ships, pushing off the millions of dollars of jet planes off the ships. I did not serve in the United States hardly, but I am willing to serve the people. Thank you. Any questions? I don't do that. I'm turning off the video.
No, we have questions. You have to answer the question on video.
Hi.
We have any questions over here?
No difficult ones.
If anyone wants to.
It's kind of a phone call, I think, George, your words, and I think you made a little tiny mistake when you said you were really willing to represent the people of the United States.
Well, of Wyoming.
Serve Wyoming.
Right. If you go to Washington, D.C., it's kind of
Oh, that's
a twist.
Washington.
Yeah.
I think there was a little slip of the tongue on his part too. He gave a real, I can't remember what it was, it'll show up in the thing where I think he said exactly the opposite of what you meant. I know what he was trying to say. He was on the thing about,
United States.
it's the only thing about where all it takes for the bad to succeed is for good men to do nothing, or however you worded it. I think you flipped it over exactly, but I know what you were getting at. But
I'll take care of not succeeding is to convince you not to get it.
I think he blew it backwards. It's okay. We're more forgiving than that. We know what you meant.
I'll ask you too, how do you feel about the illegal immigrants?
Illegal immigrants don't come across the border illegally. Libertarians are usually very open border type people. You come across the border, you are not eligible for any government assistance until you pay your dues. My ancestor, William Bradford, stepped off the Mayflower. My daughter's ancestor, William Bradford and John Doty, stepped off the Mayflower. They both paid their dues. Her husband, Native American, they paid their dues to build this country. A black individual whose ancestors picked cotton in the South, they paid their dues. I have no problem if people have paid their dues helping them out. Somebody coming in here just to gather the riches that everybody has created in this nation has no right to it. I don't care if the baby's hungry. It sounds cold and cruel. But the simple fact of the matter is, teaching a baby to live on money which was stolen from others and given to them is feeding their soul. It's the same as feeding their soul soda pop in the bottle that you give them. So I want people to be proud. If you want to come to this country, expect to work. Expect to contribute. We've got to get this flame up here higher. we've got to get this government down. Welfare, poverty, all those things will never cease to exist. But we can decrease them by increasing this flame and getting the shadow of that balloon away. Other questions?
Any thoughts on the Federal Reserve and auditing them also? Easy for other people to say.
I will encourage everybody to figure out a way to start up their own currency, to start up their own bartering system, to start denying that Federal Reserve its existence. It's like everything else. It's our problem, and we've got to solve it. Now, I'm not really sure how we deal with the Federal Reserve. It's too indebted. But yeah, if somebody gives me good comments and good advice, it's gone. We do not need to be making those bankers richer by putting us deeper in debt, which is all the Federal Reserve does. Okay, any other questions?
Does anybody else have an off-color comment we can put on the video?
I do. Well, I think you were a little bit harsh on the people in Washington not having calluses. You have to check their bus.
Or their conscience.
Or their knees.